the author of Age of Obama, a reporter's journey with Clinton, McCain, and Obama in the making of the president of 2008. Mark Curtis is here today to discuss with us his journey. You followed the campaigns. First, welcome. It's nice to see you in this context.
Thank you.
As we've worked together in this market for many years.
Yes.
And now you took it national. Why did you choose to do this project, to follow the campaigns?
Well, I'm a political junkie, and I was out of work, and I wanted to go on the road. I knew this was going to be the most exciting presidential candidate in American history, and I wasn't going to miss it. I've covered every presidential race since Ronald Reagan won in 1980, and I thought, I'm just going to get on a plane and go to Iowa and go to New Hampshire, and I'm just going to show up and elbow my way in with the other reporters, and I'm going to cover this on the internet or on radio and TV stations or newspapers. You know, basically, I was a freelancer. I was a hired gun out there covering the campaign. I had a blast.
And it's not just Obama. You focused on Clinton as well as McCain, didn't you?
Oh, and Ron Paul and Mike Huckabee and Rudy Giuliani. I mean, I followed them all. I mean, you recall when we started in Iowa, there were probably 15 to 20 viable candidates, and it was really a trick working by myself in a bombed-out rental car, flying all over Des Moines, Iowa, trying to get to as many rallies as I could. But then, of course, there was the weeding out process, and a lot of candidates dropped out. It made it a little easier to try and cover everybody.
And you weren't just covering what they were saying, because that would be old news in a book like this. You were actually covering history and some of the events that occurred coincidingly. Hey, could you explain that?
Well, one of the things I tried to do since I was on my own is there's a lot of idle time on the campaign trail. So I was in a lot of small towns and big cities and, going into diners for lunch. And I started interviewing a lot of the townsfolk around the country to kind of get a snapshot of not just what the politicians and the strategists want behind the election, but what the average, rank and file American wanted out of this election. So I got kind of a slice of Americana doing it that way. That said, I did cover some of the historic events. I mean, it was there when Barack Obama was accepting his nomination in Denver at Mile High Stadium, and that just huge event. I was at the inauguration. I mean, I did this start to finish in 13 months.
And what is it that you found out about the candidates and that you express in the book that the average viewer or the person following from home might not have gotten?
Well, what the candidates really impressed me with, and I mean all of them, irrespective of party or who won and who lost, is they understand the process is a marathon. It's a gauntlet. I mean, as a reporter, I was tired after working 18 to 20-hour days, and I woke up one morning after the Iowa caucuses, and we had worked a 20-hour day, and I was just exhausted. And after 3 hours of sleep, I turned on the TV, and there's Hillary Clinton live in New Hampshire at a rally at 8 o'clock in the morning. She's already, and I don't know how these candidates do it. They're like the Energizer Bunny. I don't know where they get the energy to be at a factory gate at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then they're at a campaign rally signing autographs at midnight. It's just amazing.
Any one-on-one moments or aspects of their personality that might surprise us?
Well, actually, the funnest one-on-one moment I had during the campaign was with Bill Clinton, because he was at a barbecue in North Carolina, and he really worked hard to campaign for Hillary. I don't think people really understood how badly he wanted to move back into the White House. And Bill Clinton and I had a nice interview outside the barbecue in Lexington, North Carolina, and all the questions I asked him were about the food, about the barbecue. He's a foodie, I'm a foodie. We had fun, and then he walked away after I got done interviewing him, and I thought, my God, Mark, this is the most historic election in American history, and you didn't even ask him about any issues. You just talked barbecue. But it's fun. Those kind of campaign moments, especially in small towns, are priceless.
And they let their hair down, didn't they? And,
they really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really do. And Hillary Clinton, especially, I covered her in a little diner in Rapid City, South Dakota. And I mean, there were hundreds of people crammed in there. And all the time she took to go around and shake hands and pose with babies. And she seems so genuine and so sincere. And that sometimes doesn't come across on television. But in person, it's just amazing the personal touch these candidates have. Because they know it's the old thing Ronald Reagan talked about, retail politics. If you walk up to somebody and shake their hand and ask for their vote, and you meet them face to face, you have a much better chance of convincing them to vote for you because they feel they know you.
So in Obama's case, what about him has surprised you, or what are you seeing him bring from the campaign trail to the White House?
He talked about reaching across the aisle and working with the Republicans, and you hear that in politics a lot, that there's going to be bipartisanship and a real effort to reach across the aisle and work together. And sometimes it's just a campaign gimmick, but he has done it so many times now. He has put a number of Republicans in his cabinet or his senior administration administration. He has met with Republicans about, trying to convince them to vote on his economic package. Of all the years I've covered politics, I've never seen a candidate reach across the aisle so many times, and I think sincerely, and quite honestly, I think that'll be a big key to his success if indeed he succeeds.
Are you going to do this again, the next campaign?
Oh, I wouldn't miss it. This was exhausting doing this, but it's so exhilarating to have a book out and to talk to people about it. It was the road trip of a lifetime, and if I get to do another road trip in 2012 and 2016 and 2020, I'm looking down the road. I'd love to do a whole series of these over the next, as long as my legs will hold out for me.
Well, excellent. Looking forward to reading the book. You can purchase a copy of Mark Curtis's The Making of the President 2008 at your local bookstore. And for more information, log on to cbs5.com/BaySunday. Click on President 2008. And we'll be back right after this break.